Today I'm ready to talk about my favorite Mario Kart game I've been playing in 2026. Nah, not that one. I haven't touched that one this year. Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. It's pretty funny. Historically, I would have said this is the worst Mario Kart game of all time. This and Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo is they're pretty much the same thing. I think the Game Boy Advance one is probably the definitive version of the game because it contains every track of the Super Nintendo game. And every time I've tried to play this game, whether it be the Game Boy Advance version or the Super Nintendo version, it's just constantly made me motion sickness. Like, I thought the controls were terrible, and I just all around disliked the game. And now, playing in 2026, my third attempt at trying to play this game, it is honestly, I actually think I've fallen in love with it. I really enjoy the game. The first time I ever played the game was on the Super Nintendo Classic system when that released. So I didn't even play this game back in the day on the Game Boy Advance or the Super Nintendo. I'm not nostalgic for this at all. Browsing through the Super Nintendo Classic, I tried out Super Mario Kart. And I was like, nope, not for me. Can't do it. Like, this is going to make me throw up. The motions, it's just horrible, horrible game, horrible controls. I gave it a second chance in the form of Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance on the Nintendo Switch online service when the Game Boy Advance games came out. Same thing. Nope, can't do it. And that time I was like, I just played Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I just played Minish Cap. I just played Metroid Fusion, and I was like, man, like I just want to like just play so much Game Boy Advance. I want to beat all these Game Boy Advance games that are on the service. Like that would be a good place to start. And Mario Kart Super Circuit came. I'm like, nope, can't do it. And so when I got my Anbernic RG35XXSP, I got this, loaded it up with, like, I had a copy of Mario Kart Super Circuit, right? I dumped it at one point. I have my hard drive full of my Game Boy games I used to own, and I loaded it up on this thing because I bought it specifically without the sticks because all I want to play on this is Game Boy Advance. And so, just to test it out, because I'm not the biggest into emulation, I never have been. I can use it on the PC, but I just don't like it. So when I saw these handhelds, I was like, oh, there's a form factor that, maybe I can trick my brain into feeling this is more, Game Boy Advance. And I don't think it's ever going to stop me from wanting to play like a real Game Boy Advance game on real hardware. But like, if like moving forward, if everything crashes with the gaming industry or just retro prices go sky high, I just want to make sure I have my bases covered so that way I can have the gaps filled for if I need it in a pinch. And at the same time, I'm not sure this hardware is going to last, the long term. But again, in a pinch, I want to play a game. I want to be able to play the game first and foremost. I'm a gamer before I'm a collector. I'm a gamer before I'm a YouTuber. And so just to test this thing out, I didn't want to like I wasn't ready to start a game, right? Or get invested. I just wanted to test the thing out. So I was like, I'm gonna put up Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. I've played it before. It's just something I can maybe hop in and sample, and I don't need to get invested on it. I don't need to be feeling guilty if I don't beat the game. I'll just try it out. And so that's how I started playing Mario Kart Super Circuit again. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was that I've been playing N64 like Cruisin' USA and just getting reused to just those old graphics and all that. But something about this game clicked with me, like, and I was able to play it without getting motion sickness. And that was like that was the first big step of it. So this is my third time trying to play this type of Mario Kart game, and I overcame that motion sickness. So I was like, all right. And I was just playing the game a little bit, and the next thing I noticed was, if you watch the channel, a lot of my gaming sessions are 15, 30, 45 minutes long in length. And I think, back when I first played, not first played, but when I played Sonic Rush recently, which was like the first DS game I've played recently, I really liked Sonic Rush because I was like, oh, if I only have 10 minutes of game time and not 15 minutes, this opens up a whole new window of possibility of me sneaking in some game time in my day. What I liked about Mario Kart Super Circuit is, it's Mario Kart. It's got 4 courses in a cup, and it's just the races are so short. Some of the like early on the tracks, it's like 30 seconds per lap. This almost supports a 5-minute gameplay session. So that 5 to 10 minutes, I was like, oh wow, like I have 5 minutes. I could, hop in and play this game. And at the same time, it's just Mario Kart. If I thought I could sneak in a 5 or 10 minute game session, but it ended up going south and it didn't work out. I could just turn it off and who cares? It's just Mario Kart Super Circuit, right? And so I was playing it a little bit. I was just like, get the gold cups, right? So the first unlock is, you get gold for all the cups, and then you unlock the special cup. I always knew about this game that it also contained the Super Nintendo tracks. And so I was like, you know what? I kind of want to unlock all the tracks, right? Do all the get all the Super Nintendo tracks. But in order to do that, you have to get gold on everything and get Special Cup. And after you beat Special Cup, then you go back and get gold on all the tracks again. And then you get the Super Nintendo version of that cup. So it's like get Mushroom Cup, get the gold on that again. Then you get the Super Nintendo version of the Mushroom Cup. And I loved that because this gave the game just some, just some basic unlocks. But I feel like that goes a long way to giving a game value. Unlike Mario Kart World, where basically all the cups are unlocked already and the characters are just arbitrarily locked behind just like chance with getting the items. So just a simple progression system, I feel like goes a long way, and that kept me going and playing the game. Now I'm not good at Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance by any means. I was just playing 50cc, and I wasn't doing very good. And what I really liked about this game that really hooked me in even further was there's this rank system, and the rank system I thought was so cool. So again, in modern Mario Kart, like Mario Kart World and Mario Kart 8, what I loved about Mario Kart 8 was just getting the 3-star gold on every cup in the game. And for every CC, so for 50cc, it's very easy in those games just to get first place in every race. I thought that was going to be the same way with Mario Kart Super Circuit. I was trying to get first place, on all 4 of the races for the cup. And I got gold, and it was just like I got like C rank or D rank or B rank, and I was like, I didn't really know what that was. I had to Google it a little bit to figure out that there's like this hidden ranking system that goes on. So it's not good enough just to get first place in all the races. The first thing you notice is there's like coins on the map, on the tracks. And I thought it was all going to be tied to the coins, but it's not even just that. You have to get like so many coins, and you get points for not using items, and you get points for finishing like first by a lot, and you get points for like staying on track. So if you go off track, it's like deducting points from the secret ranking system. And there's like not even like A is not even the best rank. I thought maybe it was gonna be S. No, there's star, 2-star, and 3-star. So just like Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World, it goes up to 3 stars. But the best I ever did was I got 1 gold star, and I started performing better by changing the way that I was playing Mario Kart. So I always thought that the controls were bad and janky and not good. But really, again, it was just like misunderstood. And I had to play the game differently. It not even close to Mario Kart 8, where I like press R to drift around the turns. Like that was not working for me. I enjoy watching F1. I'm very new to watching F1. I just started watching it in the 2025 season at the very end after watching the F1 movie. And so like, F1 is pretty much just Mario Kart without items, right? I guess, maybe this season they introduced the Super Mushroom. But so what I was doing was I decided I'm gonna play this Mario Kart game more like F1. I'm gonna just like go slow around the turns instead of doing a quick drift like I do in Mario Kart 8 and try and go as fast as I can at all time. I'm like, no, I'm gonna slow down and really go around these corners. And I was never using the brake either. I just kind of let off the gas, and I was almost like tapping the gas, and that changed everything. Once I started doing that, I started playing the game well, and it eventually got me to getting my first 1-star gold cup throughout throughout the game. The cups were significantly harder to get good ranks on in the Super Nintendo ones. I don't know what was about it, but no matter what I did, like I was just getting like C's and B's, even though on the Game Boy Advance one I actually was getting A and single gold star towards the end, once I like just figured out how to play the game differently. And once I got over the motion sickness and figured out how to play the game differently, the unlock systems and this hidden ranking system, I just loved it, and it gave such a big hook. I'm still not good at the game, and it's not something I want to main right now, especially on like an emulation device. Like when I realized how difficult this game is and how much effort I would have to put into it, I was like, man, I think I'm at the point where I really enjoy the game. And I don't know, something about it, it's like, I think if I'm going to put forth the effort to figure out how to perform well on 100cc and 150cc, and try to grind and get those 3 gold star ranks. Part of me just wants to have this game on physical Game Boy Cart. And I don't know, I could see a future where like I don't have a front porch right now that's like, shaded and all that, or like a sunroom in my house. But those are kind of dream goals I want to have in the future. And part of me thinks that's going to be where I do most of my handheld gaming. And I just think it'd be so cool to like have like a sunroom or a front porch and just have like a bowl of Game Boy games and just kind of like sit there, like maybe after a long walk, and be like, I'm gonna do a round of Mario Kart Super Circuit, and just like, kind of do that like every day, like of the summer or whatever, and like have that like, all right, let's try to get 3 gold stars and try to do all the 100cc, 150cc. And I don't really want to put forth that effort on like an emulation handheld where I'm sure this thing can die. I don't want to go through all the trouble like doing my saves. Like, it's not that serious, but at the same time, it's like, man, I think I've now fallen in love with this game, and that's kind of the future I see myself with it, to get more engagement out of. And so I was like, I just want to get the gold cup for all the for 50cc. That's good enough for now. I'm just gonna keep playing it, get the gold cup for everything. And I was doing that because so I would kind of unlock all the Super Nintendo tracks, and I got all of them until I beat the special cup for the second time, and it didn't unlock the special cup for the Super Nintendo. And then I had to Google that too, and it turns out it's like, what, you actually have to beat the the special cup and get first place gold on 150cc. And I wasn't mad about that. I was like, that's awesome. It's actually challenging you. And just like, unlike Mario Kart World, I feel like there's no challenge to get the unlocks in this game. But the Game Boy Advance one is actually having all these challenges to unlock the stuff. It has this hidden rank system, and it's just a difficult Mario Kart game. And it got me thinking, like, it'd be really refreshing if Nintendo created another Mario Kart game on Nintendo Switch 2. We have 3D and 2D Mario. We have 3D and 2D Zelda. Why can't Mario Kart, like one of Nintendo's flagship franchises, a system seller franchise, why can't it have 2 different entries on the or on Nintendo Switch 2? Mario Kart World, I'll defend it. I think it has a purpose. Like, I feel like when my kids start playing, bigger video games like Nintendo Switch 2, the open world, that's probably gonna be a dream come true. It's just like a playground, right, for kids, and I think that's the goal of this game. But when it comes to us older gamers, right, some of us want some challenges, and this game hasn't been very challenging by any stretch of the imagination. I think it'd be very cool if they released like a brand new like Mario Kart Super Circuit type of game, with up-to-date graphics. But I want that more difficult controls, right? I don't want it to control like Mario Kart World. I want it to have that more difficult control, that kind of F1 style controls. I want to have that unlock progression system. I want that hardcore ranking system. It can be a smaller game where this is an $80 game, big open world game. Have this more like, I want to say $30 game, budget title. I'm sure it'd be more like $50, but a smaller Mario Kart experience that's just more hardcore, a difficult controlling Mario Kart game with a difficult ranking system, with real progression and real unlocks. And I think there's a place for both to exist on the Nintendo Switch 2, just like there's a place for 2D and 3D Mario, just like there's a place for 2D, 3D Zelda. Heck, there's 2D and 3D Metroid, right? There's Metroid Dread and Metroid Prime 4. Like, I think they could do that with Mario Kart. And I think having, we have Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, then Mario Kart Super Circuit on Game Boy Advance. There really hasn't ever been a third game in that style of Mario Kart, and we have so much Nintendo Switch 2 generation left. I would love to see them bring that back at this point. It was really refreshing, and if you've been in the same camp as me, and you always thought that, that Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart Super Circuit were the worst Mario Karts of all time, which may still be true, just now that I've revisited it and I've been able to adapt to it, I got over that motion sickness, and I figured out the controls that game has, instead of trying to make it play like how I think it should play in terms of like Mario Kart 8. I loved it. I really love it, and I think I'm ready to move on to it now and try out other racing games on my handheld, or just other games that would support a 5-minute play session. But for these past few months, just playing it every once in a while as just kind of this like side piece game, micro gaming, I really recommend it, and I definitely recommend giving it another chance. And maybe give it a chance, and maybe it's not for you. Wait a few years, try again, because that's what I ended up doing, and it was worth it. So yeah, let me know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like or a comment on what you think about this game. Do you love Mario Kart Super Circuit, or have you never been able to jive with it? Thank you. See you guys in the next video. Later.